Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. I'm Kenneth Low, your speaker today. So today's section is talk about zero standing privileges. So how to do a just-in-time orchestration with Segura. So we are talking about something a little bit technical, but I try to make it a little bit more high level, so it won't go to very deep on the technical details, but do tell the key points why we should switch to the zero standing privileges. Okay, so what we will talk about today is in depth is the brief birth, life, death cycle for the identifications. So it's not just Windows Server, but also about the cloud assets and many others. So how can we maintain a very short life cycle of those identity without many manual inventation? So it will be cleaned up automatically, create automatically, just in time. Okay. So we have on AWS, we have cloud in, uh, ephemerality. If you ever play around the STS, assume roles, and IAM for the AWS, you know there will be a way that you can have a temporary assume a role. So at that time, you have a temporary access or credential. So it will be temporary. It not will not be standing there forever. So it is a very short life cycle access. And also Azure, we have some dynamic Arabic assignment. So through some Microsoft Graph API integration. So that how can we achieve? Well, there will be many others, SAML and others, but today we will more pick AWS and Azure as an example. So, and also we will talk about some simple skill booker concept. So how can we eliminate those persistent accounts? So in order to isolate and to remove those possibility of injections, credential takeover, something like that. Okay. So let's talk about how Windows just in time. It also similarly apply to Cloud One. So for Windows Server, we will call the SAM API. It's simply the net user add and then create a RDP user, and then the user access through RDP proxy to use that password to inject and direct to the memory. So the user will not know the password. Okay. So after the session expire or the account is the session is dead, then we will disable the account or remove the account immediately. So there will be a cleanup script after the session die. So that account seems not to be exist. Of course, we have audit logs, we have all the trace logs, so we will know actually that account is created by Segura, and we should have a proper prefix or postfix so we can identify those temp account is created by Segura, not by random scripts or hackers. Okay, so that's had to be alert, and that may also affect how you handle it when you do the like the SIEM, SIEM, and the or the XDR that you may uh, care about the authentication and some audit trail for account creation or removal. So yeah, so that can be a little bit something may FP may happens, but this is a good FP I would say. So we have to adjust a little bit on the follow log management and other tools. But the point is, we maintain uh, a clean room without any extra credential. We only create when we need it. Okay, it's not use it when we need it. We create when we need it and use it and remove it. So that's how it works for the just-in-time uh, credential for Windows. Okay, so for AWS is something different because as I said, for AWS we have STS, which something you need to be configured on the AWS IAM. But then you need not to create a user. You create a role. Okay, STS is a role assume role that you can assume your temporary change access to that role. And of course, you have some criteria who can do that, who cannot do that, and you can have a short session time, so you can have a limitation on when can it be used or how can it be used. And because for the user is not create p create, so we only allow those server or role or application assume that role to get the access the credential temporary credential on that section. So that will be much less possibility for the abuse of those account, because the account doesn't exist, and we have a certain criteria to limit who can assume those roles, who, when, where you can define in your STS. So all is federally controlled by the AWS console, and we can integrate with Segura to provision and control it. So there will no hardcode credential, because there's no hardcode credential that can be exposed, because it doesn't exist. So it is quite much more secure, because uh, if you have ever play around those API tokens, uh, quite recent years, hackers is very focused to abuse those tokens, especially you have some legacy, or no legacy, but older accounts from AWS. By default, the root user have a token with root access. Okay, so come back, check, remove it, disable it, never have a root access token. If even you really want to use the access token, control the access, control the criteria, or as I said, use the STS assume role, that will be much more secure. Okay, so for Azure, we have some dynamic assignment. So we help you to maintain the entry ID with a zero state. So those user with no access, the user role is very limited access, and you just assign the role when the valid task is detected, and after that we remove that role. So we have a zero standing with dynamic role assignment, not like the AWS, because they are different philosophy of the API about role and user in backend. But the concept is very similar. We only create some access that when we really need it. Okay. Other than that, they don't have that high privilege or even no privilege at all. So you can minimize the possibility for the account takeover, being abused, natural movement, all sorts of loophole that hackers may make use of. Yeah, if no accounts, they cannot steal. Okay. So at a very short comparison on AWS and Azure, both of them can be achieved and managed through Segura. but the mechanism is a little bit different. So the AWS STS is a temporary token generation. So when you assume the role, you get a token generate token assigned to you temporarily. After session end, it will that and it will no access at all. And for Azure, we will dynamic role assignment. And the primary identity is the session-based IAM roles for AWS, and Azure is actually a persistent identity, but which is a no permission stripped identity, so we can ensure it won't be even it will be uh, even it has been taken over and it will be minimized the role. Okay, there will be API endpoint to doing this, and yeah. So the cleanup method is very important for AWS, which is a because after you finish the sections, the assume rule will be ends, so the token will die, so it will be automatically fully automated. For Azure, you will need a Segura to help you to delete the role, so it will done by Segura through the section end scripts to remove those roles for those users. So why we do this? Okay, so first of all, we isolate the password and others natively because the human never see the password. So Segura act as a man in the middle before, but for security, not for the theft. Okay, so when the user log into Segura, it help you to create access or assign roles. Then we inject those sections to your remote sections like browser or RDP sections. So the user never touch the password, never see or never touch password. So that means the endpoint, even they have a full bunch of keylogger, there will nothing be logged because there is no credential at all. Okay, so the secret will remain safe, and we have an isolated network because the user only connect to Segura, and the Segura maintain a single outbound connection to the cloud server or your on-prem server through a proxy. So the security issue on your endpoints will not spill over to your core networks because network is decoupled by Segura as a middle of those PAM. So we will isolate the core network from the end user side. No matter it is administrator, domain admin, it doesn't matter because the user login is just a normal user access. We give you the permission when you have the right to access, and we give you temporary access only. So after they log in, after they log out, they finish the task, the account will be disappear. Okay, so even there is some who am I brute force, it won't work after the sessions ends because the user has been removed or the role has been removed. So there's no high privilege account or the account doesn't exist anymore. So what's the difference? Okay, so what is different? Why we need to do that? Because okay, if we have a consistent credential, like you have a domain admin account sitting of AD, so it will be 160 hours a week. So it exists that there. Okay, so waiting for brute force, waiting for account takeover. For scheduled simple just in time, it may take 40 hours a week, maybe like we enable it and morning and then turn it off after the office hours. So 8 times 5, so it's the 40. So that's how it works. So schedule just in time. So it is a schedule. It is not a real time just in time. So the zero standing privilege is we really create a credential when it is used, and we kill it just after you finish. So the time of the exist of the credential will be minimum. Okay, we cannot be less than that. Okay, because we use it and create it. Okay, we finish it and we delete it. We cannot delete it when we are using it, right? So this is the minimum time that those credentials exist in your network, on your server, or your cloud services. So it will dramatically reduce the possibility of the lateral movement, because in many cases for lateral movement, no matter it's on-prem or cloud to on-prem, on-prem to cloud, they try to evaluate their privileges. They steal the credentials. They abuse the loophole. But the point is, we don't have credential there, so they cannot steal it. Of course, there will be still have some credential you cannot remove, but you can disable, okay, or you can give a very, very high limitation on that credential. Then will be minimize the chance of being abused during the lateral movement, and we have a zero standing pressure to terminate the lateral movement pathways, because they will hit the wall very quickly, because they cannot find credential to hack. Then how can they get it evaluate their privileges? So that's why we put it a zero standing privileges. So this will dramatically increase your security, not just on your servers on-prem, but also on your cloud. Okay. So what should you do? First of all, you have to do inventory. Okay, map all your service account, find out any shadow admin, any backup user, just in case user that definitely exists quite a lot in your Win server or in your cloud environments. And then move your tier 0 assets, the most important zero assets that behind Segura. So we control your assets. So those like production database, cloud master account, AD servers, all those should be protected behind Segura. And then, first of all, of course, you have to create some temporary account to test out the process. So create those accounts that we can control and manage and remove and create. Create those templates for those prefixes, so we can help you to create. Then you try to run and make sure it will be created correctly. You can access and will be removed on the fly. Then you disable those unnecessary accounts. Then let Segura help you to dynamically create those assets and inject to the sections without distributing sharing the username and password. Because the account is, when they create, you generate the password at the time. Or some, if you use AWS, there's no password at all. For Windows, of course, you still need a password, but that password is not that valid because it only exists during your remote sections to those servers. Okay, so that's what you can do, and very simple steps. Okay, so security is not about building firewalls, but it's about remove the keys from the locks. Okay, so this is a interesting quote. So there's a very quick sharing how you can make Segura to create zero standing privileges accounts without too much effort at all, actually. So the only thing you need to do is mapping those accounts and then control by Segura and turn on the script to do the just-in-time creation and removal. So there's the complete guide for the access management. It's not just in time, but also some general PAM guidelines. So you can access search Segura and then search PAM complete guide. Then you are able to find it, and you may contact me through my email or access our website. We have a hotline, so you can contact us, send us email. So that's all for today's sharing. It's very short and quick one, but I think we do bring a new concept. How can we uh, maximize the value and the protection for you with a PAM solutions like Segura? And it is not that difficult to play around with the such just-in-time access. Okay, so that's all for today's sharing. If you guys have questions, please contact us and send us email and yeah, drop me an email. And if you got any suggestion of topics or products or next webinar or what things you would like to learn about, please do email us. Okay, so that's all for today. We very short one, but I think it's quite valuable if you really are able to implement it. So that's all for today. Thank you. Bye bye.